Welcome back to the DFS Sweatshop. I am your host, the DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. Very interesting slate of games tonight. Uh, it was a 5 game slate. It was a shorty. Hopefully, you didn't go too hard if you didn't have a great night. And if you did have a good night, hopefully it was so great that it was actually worth uh, investing in the 5 game short slate. Uh, just got back from Charlotte. I went down to Charlotte to see the Knicks. The wife and I had a really great time. Went out to the Epicenter after the game, had some dinner. Just getting back home. She's in bed waiting on me. So I still have to go into the sweatshop and do my duty reporting the news back to you guys. What we're gonna do? Well, I didn't have a core for today. I believe it is very irresponsible for me to tell you about specific guys on a certain slate, especially a short slate, when I'm not even playing the slate like that. The way I play these short slates is I look at a few offenses and I just stack them. It's such a crapshoot because we're going up against guys. We're going up against a small player pool. Guys that understand it's a small player pool. They're entering sometimes 150 max lineups. They've got every variation. You're going to see them at the top of every leaderboard. So I usually either play light on these short slates or not, or don't play at all. So I'm not going to release a core four plays that I'm playing when I'm not playing the core four. I'm kind of not even playing very heavy on these short 5 game slates. And it's not as bad as it was last year. Last year we had like 3 game slates, 2 game slates. Sundays or very bad uh, for basketball, especially because on DraftKings they usually don't get the whole entire slate like say it's like tomorrow. I think we've got 8 games, but there's only 6 on the DraftKings main slate. So let's go ahead and jump into the feature 4 players of the night. These are the 4 most talked about, most tweeted about guys in the sweatshop for good and sometimes bad reasons. Let's start it off with the Who Dat scoring all them points over there player of the night. And this goes to none other than Jeremy Lamb. Jeremy Lamb had an excellent game, was able to step in for Nick Batum, who had to sit out this game. We definitely want to keep an eye on his injury status, no pun intended, going forward. Jeremy Lamb at 30% owned, at a solid 3K flat, went out and scored 45.75 DraftKings points. Yes, that is 15 times value. Had an excellent game. I had him in a couple lineups. If you had him, I know you were pleased about the return you had on that investment. Dude grabbed like 17 boards, man, had 17 points. Excellent game from him. He can actually be a starter on a lot of teams, and he just plays so well off of the Charlotte bench. He doesn't get enough minutes to actually be a day in and day out like fantasy uh, have that daily fantasy impact day in and day out. But when he does see a lot of minutes, he's able to perform really well. The next guy we're going to talk about is going to be the how did I miss that player tonight? This is somebody who had upwards above 10% ownership, so that means a lot of other people were on him, but for some reason or another, we didn't get him in our lineups. Now, this is going to go to Dion Waiters, and the reason why is because guy tweeted out to me, hey man, how do you feel about Dion Waiters tonight? And I was like, well, frankly, he's just not in my player pool because I didn't stack Miami, so he wasn't in my player pool. But this dude at 15% on, 5.3K, goes out and scores 44.75 DraftKings points. Excellent return on the 5.3K you invested in him. If you had him in your lineups, he definitely made good on that 5.3K. The next player we're going to talk about is the heat check player tonight. Now, this doesn't always go to the highest point scoring player. This doesn't always go to that. This is the guy that did exactly what you wanted him to do, scored maybe a little bit more than you expected, had a great game, and also won the game. Because you can't be the heat check player tonight and lose. And this guy, KD, at 23% owned. That means a lot of you were on him. He was at 23% owned in a lot of GPPs, 9.6K, kind of a heavy price on him. Had 61.5 DraftKings points. Excellent game from him. And I'm starting to understand that KD, now some of this was attributed to Draymond Green being out, but not that much because he didn't have like a double-double with rebounds. He just scored a bunch of points, blocked a lot of shots, had a handful of rebounds, and assisted the ball. He had a really great game. And I think going forward, man, KD is somebody that we're going to be able to look at a lot. I hadn't rostered him very much this year, just because it's hard for me to pin down which part of the Golden State offense is going to be like a mainstay, but it has appeared to be him. It does. It appears to be KD. So, like I said, 23% ownership, 9.6K, 61.5 DraftKings points. Excellent game from KD. Now, the next guy is that one motherfucker. The one motherfucker who fucked up all your lineups. This dude robbed you, stole from you, took 8.6K in DraftKings salary from you. Horrible game from this dude. And this is his second time on winning this award, the snowflake of the night. This is the second time being that one motherfucker. So at year's end, we're going to do a Snowflake of the Year award. And Hassan Whiteside, if you don't get your shit together, and stop being that one motherfucker who stay priced over 8K, but going out and underperforming, my brother, you're going to be in the running for the Snowflake of the Year. Get your shit together with your snowflake ass. Hassan Whiteside goes out 8.6K, 18% ownership. A lot of folks believed in him. He goes out and scores 37 DraftKings points. Now, for a lot of other players, this wouldn't be snowflake status. But when you have the ability, when you have the game, the defensive prowess, the scoring capability that this guy has, and you think you stole something because you got him under 9K, and he goes out and he shits the bed for 37 DraftKings points, while the other stars are performing and performing well. Use a motherfucking snowflake with your snowflake ass. Now let's go ahead. Before we jump into the player pricing for tomorrow's 8 games, 6-game DraftKings slate, we've got 2 early games as well. Before we jump into that, we are going to do a quick recap on last night's 5-game slate. Okay, now we're going to start with a game that I should have faded completely. This is the San Antonio Spurs going to Washington to take on the Wizards. Now, John Wall, you got close. You got close to being a snowflake, but we spared you. We spared you. You got close. John Wall went out in 37 minutes, had 21 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 steal. Not a horrible game from John Wall, but it was definitely snowflake status because he was priced up so high. Otto Porter, 14 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. Pretty good game from him. We saw a double-double from Marcin Gortat. He had 10 points, 10 rebounds, 1 assist. That's what I call a small double-double. You can't even say that loud. That's a small double-double. We need 15 and 15, 20 and 13, something like that. That's a small double-double. You just barely cut the mustard with that. Brad Beal had an excellent game. If you rostered him, I know you were pleased with his production. In 38 minutes, he had 25 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. Now, this is a player who has been plagued with injury throughout his career. Last year, had some like a stress fracture damage to his leg, and he barely saw the court. But now he seems refreshed, revitalized, healthy, and ready to go. And he's playing well, has been playing well so far this year. Off of the bench, we saw nothing. This game was over before it was over, and that kind of affected the players on the other side of the ball, most notably Kawhi Leonard. You can't be a snowflake because it was a blowout. He just didn't play a lot in the fourth quarter. 19 points, 1 rebound, 5 assists, and 3 steals for Kawhi Leonard. LaMarcus Aldridge kind of made up for that shitty performance yesterday. Had 33 minutes, 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 1 steal for him. Pau Gasol played 29 minutes, had 8 points and 10 rebounds with a couple of assists and a steal. Tony Parker, pretty good game from him. He had 20 points, 1 rebound, and 3 assists for the old man. Jonathan Simmons was a really good play in this game. He only played 22 minutes, but in those 22 minutes, he had 15 points to go with a rebound, 4 assists, and 2 steals with a block. Now, that was at 3K. Pretty good game from Jonathan Simmons. You just can't ever see that coming with the Popovich coach team. You never know. I was kind of scared to roster these San Antonio players. Didn't know if they were all going to be playing. You know how he goes. So I just took a chance, and I stacked Washington. Didn't really work out because John Wall didn't really have one of those wall games that we need to actually make a dent in a tournament. The next game was a game that I was at. Pretty good showing for the Charlotte players. If you stack the starting five in this game, you got to the money, man. They all had really decent games. We started with Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, 11 points, 8 rebounds, and a block for him. Frank Kaminsky started off kind of slow, but he ended up scoring 14 points to go with 5 rebounds and 3 assists. Pretty good game from him. Cody Zeller, a nice little double-double at 4K. You can't beat that. 11 points to go with 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. Kimba had the hose popping. I was there. I seen his mom. She was in the stands. It was great. It was good to see you, Kimber. It was good to see you, man. And you balled out. 40 minutes. He had 28 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. But we talked already about the who dat player of the game, man. Jeremy Lamb was definitely the story of this game. 18 points to go with 17 boards, 2 assists, and 1 steal. Excellent game from Jeremy Lamb. We didn't see too much off of the bench. Maybe Ramon Sessions had 9 points to go with 2 rebounds and 3 assists. Marco Bellinelli, some of you bit that cheese, and he had 5 points to go with 2 rebounds and 1 assist. On the Knicks side of the ball, not a very good game from Carmelo Anthony. It wasn't snowflake status, but he missed a lot of key shots down the stretch. We need to pack this guy up and send him to the Clippers. You send him to the Clippers, they're automatically a bona fide, real deal championship contender. We should be done with this dude. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm a Melo fan. I followed him his whole career since Oak Hill Academy. He's somebody who I really like as a player, but I want to see him win. I don't think he can do it with the Knicks. He should go to the Clippers. They need a stretch four that doesn't want to play defense, just stand around and shoot jump shots all day. But Porzingis, pretty good game from him. 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Derrick Rose was actually the story of this game, and he was in the running to be the who dat player. But we kind of expect to have these games from Derrick Rose every now and again, where he just reminds us of how good he used to be, even though he's not as good as he was consistently. And in 34 minutes, D Rose had 18 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. He flirted with a triple-double, 2 steals, and 2 blocks for him. Not much else to speak of. Courtney Lee, this wasn't really a revenge game because he spent like a season or two in Charlotte. He came over there from the Memphis Grizzlies, but he did have a decent game. He played 30 minutes, scored 14 points to go with 2 rebounds and 3 assists. The next game we're going to get into is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder at home against the Detroit Pistons. Now, I stayed away from this game a lot just because I really didn't see the value in playing Detroit players. Not a very good game from any of them. We had KCP, not a very good game from him. Andre Drummond was in the running to be a snowflake. But we did see, and then the funny part is, you look at what Russell Westbrook was able to do in this game. He had 61 DraftKings points. At 12K on a 5-game slate, if you drop 12K on a guy and he only gets 5x value, that's a lot of potential 6, 7x that we threw away with rostering Russell Westbrook. I fell victim to it. Should have leaned heavier on the Golden State stack like a lot of you did. Some of you I saw cashing. That's who you had in your lineups. Good play. Let's move on to the next game. It's going to be the Miami Heat at home against the It's going to be the Miami Heat at home against the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis played a really good game. We didn't see what we thought we would see from the Miami defensive side, of course. Hence the snowflake of the night. Whiteside didn't really have a great game. He went out and only gave us 37 DraftKings points. Not a very good showing from him. Dion Waiters played an excellent game in this game. We talked about him a little earlier. Just an overall underwhelming performance from the Miami Heat. On the Memphis side, we saw a pretty good game from Marc Gasol. Mike Conley got into the mix, had a very decent game. We also saw, we knew that Zach Randolph was going to be out. That made way for JaMychal Green, who had a very decent game himself. The last game we're going to be talking about, and I'm just going through them quickly so we can get into tomorrow's slate, is the Golden State Warriors at the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, the game was over before it was over. I mean, they were in it. until midway through the second quarter, and it was over. Kevin Durant finished with 61.5 DraftKings points. We saw 56 points from Curry. Just great games from the Golden State side. Karl Anthony Towns on the other side of the ball had 42 DraftKings points. Not value that you really wanted from him, but I mean it wasn't a bad performance from him. Mike Conley, we played well. We talked about him already. Klay Thompson, 36 points from him. Pretty good game from Klay Thompson. Didn't really see too much off of the Golden State bench because the starters did play a fair amount of minutes. They all got 30 minutes. Guy says that on Twitter. He's like, yo, I think you should fuck with Golden State, man, because their starters still play 30 minutes in blowouts. And I was like, yeah, they do. But it's just so hard. It's just so hard for me to roster them, not knowing which one's going to pop off for that night. So let's go ahead and jump into the point totals for tomorrow. Now, I'm going to give you all 8 games. Some of you may play FanDuel, and the things that I'm talking about, they apply to FanDuel as well. They do, because it's just overall player, uh, just player knowledge, knowing the players, right? So what we're going to do before we get started, let's go ahead and jump into here with it. And what we're doing here, we're just going to get a look at everybody on the slate, see what this is only going to give us 6 games for tomorrow. We should go back and just all right. Now, of course, the most expensive player on the slate is going to be James Harden at 11.5. Good. We don't have a 12K player on the slate tonight. We've got Anthony Davis at 11.3 against Dallas. I love that matchup. I like that. I like the Harden matchup as well. This can be some potential stacks in this too. We've got Boogie Cousins going to Brooklyn at 10.1K. That's a pretty good price on him. We've got Giannis Antetokounmpo going to Orlando at 9.3. We got Dame against Houston. Do you think we could see a Dame game with Patrick Beverly covering him? I think we can. We've got Chris Paul at 8.6 against the Clippers. Is that going to be a blowout? Is the question. Blake Griffin as well, 8.4. Paul George, he should be out of this game. You've got CJ McCollum at 7.5 against Houston, who I love. He's one of my favorite plays. He's definitely going to be one of my core 4 plays. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm not going to drop a core 4 video at the end of this video. I'm going to give you my core 4. We got Paul Millsap at 7.3 going against the Lakers. Dwight Howard, every time he plays one of his former teams this year, he balled out. So we've got Dwight Howard going to the LA Lakers. Now, going up against Mozgov, he's going to eat that dude. He's going to destroy him. Same way he did Zubac the last time. At 7.4K, I like him. We got Jeff Teague going up against Chris Paul defense. Nah, 6.9, I don't like that. Rudy Gay at 6.8 against Brooklyn. I like him. Brook Lopez, I think that's a pretty good play. Miles Turner, who I do not like against the Clippers. Jrue Holiday, a play I do like in Dallas. D'Angelo Russell is out. Jabari Parker at 6.3. DeAndre Jordan, 6.3. Serge Ibaka, 6.2. Now I'm good. Nikolai Jokic, I don't like him against Milwaukee. Clint Capella can be a good play at 6K flat. We got Jordan Clarkson. He may be starting. If he is starting, I like Clarkson tomorrow. Thad Young at 5.8. Harrison Barnes. I kind of like Harrison Barnes tomorrow. I do. I kind of like Harrison Barnes tomorrow. Trevor Ariza at 5.7. He had a really, really good game out last time. Tim Frazier at 5.6. Mason Plumlee, 5.6. Trevor Booker at 5.5 against Sacramento at home. That might be a decent play. Trevor Booker there. Dennis Schroeder. I like that play. 5.5 for Dennis Schroeder. Elfrid Payton at 5.4. Collison is a nice play at 5.3 against Brooklyn. Terrence Jones, 5.3 is a nice play against Dallas. We've got a lot of nice plays on this slate, man. Harkless at 5.1. Kilpatrick, a lot of you are going to be interested in him at 5K flat. This dude is dead to me. Kent Bazemore, he is dead to me. Glenn Robinson III. If Paul George is out, you may like Glenn Robinson. I do not like him. The price is too high on him. He's 5K. That's too high on him. Eric Gordon, who is stuck on the bench at 4.8. Ryan Anderson likes to shoot threes. Might be a decent play against Portland because they're both high-paced scoring teams. They may need threes in certain spots, and Ryan Anderson will definitely oblige them and gun it and chuck it up. Patrick Beverly, I like him as a play at 4.4. Deron Williams at 4.4, I like him. Uh, Aaron Gordon, man, they need to do something better with Aaron Gordon. Trade him. Just trade him. If you don't want to play him, trade him. He's like a baby Blake Griffin, and they don't give him the playing time. Wesley Matthews at 4.3, I don't like him. Hollis Jefferson is questionable. We need to check on Larry Nance as well. Larry Nance and Julius Randle with the handle. Etuan Moore at 4.1. Andrew Bogut, no. Matt Barnes, 4.1, could be a decent play. Ingram, we see the prices up on Ingram here. We see the prices up on Ingram. And he's going to be seeing, maybe some Bazemore defense or Thabo Cephalosha. So that kind of, I'm pumped the brakes on Brandon Ingram. You know how much I like Brandon Ingram, but I don't like him very much tomorrow. Mike Muscala, Evan Turner at 4K. Jamal Crawford, 3.9. Let's check on one of my favorite plays and see Mo Buckets at 3.7. If this is a blowout, Mo Buckets is going to ball. Remember that. Rodney Stuckey at 3.7. He can get some blowout run as well. Ed Davis at 3.6. If he's starting, he might be in play if he's starting. Jonathan Gibson, no thank you. Tony Snell. Yo, as much as I hate Tony Snell, the dude's been fucking balling, man. He's been balling. Check his splits. He's been balling. John Henson, no way. Langston Galloway, he could get some love in a blowout here against New Orleans and Dallas. He could get some love there. Dwight Powell, no. Solomon Hill, no. Calderon is up from 3K to 3.4. Timothy Mozgov, 3.3. Mike Beasley, 3.3. I don't like him. We got the coach's son at 3.3. Could get some love in a blowout. Montrezl Harrell, Myers Leonard, Isaiah Whitehead. He may be the starter tomorrow. Aaron Aflalo might be a pretty decent player. I'm telling you who I really like. And he's minimum salary. I like him tomorrow. Garrett Temple. He's somebody who I like as a salary saver. I think he can have a good game against this Brooklyn team. I think he can have a good game. So now that we have taken a look at the player pricing and we've developed a pool of players in our heads, let us take a look ahead at tomorrow's 8 NBA games, 6 of which are going to be on the DraftKings main slate. If you are a FanDuel player as well, they're going to be, I guess there's an all day slate, as FanDuel usually has all the games. And I'm pretty happy that one of these games are not on the slate, because this is so hard to gauge. This game is so hard to gauge. It is the Cleveland Cavaliers going to Philadelphia to take on the 76ers. It's a 210 over-under with Cleveland giving up 12.5 points. That immediately says to me that it's a big LeBron game, because if they're going to blow them out this way, that means LeBron is going to either score a ton of points or he's going to dish out a bunch of dimes, grab some boards, and play some great defense. So if I were to roster anybody from this game, I would stack the shit out of Cleveland. I'm talking the big dogs. LeBron, Kyrie, Love, and then maybe a bum for the scrub Love, Channing Frye, if he's playing. So on the Philadelphia side, not too much I like about this. I would take a chance on Bayless, just because Kyrie Irving is not a very good defender. Joel Embiid should be playing in this game. Is going to have a 24-minute restriction. That would keep me off of Tristan Thompson, but I'm not sure that I would be willing to invest that much in Embiid in this game. But if you're playing the early slate, you kind of have to. He's a must play if you're playing in that early slate. I would have to play Joel Embiid, because I'm not playing Tristan Thompson against him, and I really don't like the centers from the next game matched up against each other. Next game we're getting to is going to be the Denver Nuggets. This is a 3:30 game, so it's also part of the early slate. We've got Denver and Phoenix with no clear point total yet. We've got some injuries on both sides of the ball. We don't know if Will Barton's going to be playing. Tyson Chandler is back. We've got the injury to T.J. Warren. We've got the injury to there's another guy on Phoenix that is. Let's check it out. Yeah, no, it's just T.J. Warren. is injured, so we really don't have a point total for this game. Um, you know what? I'm a believer. I'm a believer in the Denver bench players, Wilson Chandler and Jamal Murray. I mean, I'm playing the early slate and I'm putting them guys in. They made me a believer. I don't think you can have a roster tomorrow without rostering Wilson Chandler and Jamal Murray in this plus matchup. You gotta take them. You gotta go in with them. And I also like Nikola Jokic. Those are the three guys that I would roster from the Denver side. I really wish this game was a part of the main slate because I would have those guys in a lot of different lineups. On the Phoenix side of the ball, I think you can definitely go back to the well with Eric Bledsoe. He had about 50 DraftKings points last time out. I think he's going to have a really good game today. You could also go to Devin Booker. I like Devin Booker in this game. As far as the bigs on the Phoenix side, you know, the Tyson Chandler and it's Tyson Chandler, the Allen Williams, and also Nick on the bigs. It's Tyson Chandler, Allen Williams, and the other dude, Alex Len. Alex Len. I don't know which way to go in this contest. Are we going to see 30 minutes from either of these players? Who's going to get the 30? Is Alex Len going to start? And while I'm figuring all that shit out, I'll just roster a big from Denver and be done with it. Because on DraftKings, I don't have to play one center. I don't have to play a center. Actually, I can just play two power forwards that play as center. So I can roster Jokic and just be done with it. So I wouldn't mess with the Phoenix big side of the ball. But I do like the Phoenix perimeter players. Moutier is being not eased out of the rotation, but they're just giving the bench players so much time because they're so productive. What happens is, yeah, a guy comes in, Jamal Murray comes in, all right, Moutier, take a break. You got Jamal Murray comes in. Jamal Murray goes out and scores like 20 points. So you can't take him out. You can't take him out to put Moutier back in, who can't really shoot that well, doesn't really score that well. I mean, he's a decent player, but I mean, I'm starting to think that Jamal Murray is a better fit for the way they run this offense. And it kind of iced out Danilo Gallinari as well. He hasn't been performing as the best player on the team. It's been a combination of Wilson Chandler and Jamal Murray, so I definitely think you can get him in your lineups tomorrow. The next game I'm going to get into is going to be the Sacramento Kings going to Brooklyn to take on the Brooklyn Nets. It's a 217-point total, the second largest point total on the slate. Now, this game is actually a part of that six-game slate, the main slate on DraftKings. This is a tasty game. This is a tasty game because you've got Boogie and you've got cheaper value style players on the other end. Like the best player on Brooklyn Nets team is like 6.7K. The best player on this team is under 7K, and that's Brook Lopez, who I think could be in play tomorrow against Boogie. They're probably not going to defend each other. You're going to see Koufos on Brook Lopez, which is a punishment, and you're going to see Trevor Booker a lot on Boogie, which will be the same thing. Boogie will destroy. So I think you can roster both of these guys. I like them both. I love Boogie in this game too. The fact that it's on the road for Sacramento Kings leads me to believe the game's going to be a little closer than they may think. Well, it's only a -4 in favor of Sacramento. Sacramento is giving up 4 points, so that means the Brooklyn Nets are the home dog. So anytime we see the home dog, that gives a slight bump to the home team just being at home. So the game could be close, and it could go the distance. I like Rudy Gay in this game. One of my favorite plays from this game is actually Garrett Temple. I got the feeling there's something inside that's saying Garrett Temple at 3K is going to be a nice salary saver. Do not fuck with Aaron Aflalo is what my instincts is telling me. I like Garrett Temple to be a nice salary saver in this game if you're trying to stack and pay up for some bigs. If you want, you know, your Anthony Davises or your James Hardens, you're going to have to find that value in other spots. So I do like Garrett Temple tomorrow in this game. I like Darren Collison as well. This is a very tasty game to me. This is one of my favorite games on the slate. I don't think you can go wrong in a lot of spots. I mean, Bojan, no. If Jeremy Lin is back, maybe he might be in play. Lawson, no. Rudy Gay, yeah, I like Rudy Gay a little bit. Booker, I'm not too high on Booker. Him, I mean, I can see him getting in early foul trouble trying to hold Boogie. So I'm really careful about rostering the guy who is guarding Boogie. I very rarely no matter what team it is, I very rarely roster the guy who's guarding Boogie because he can get you into early foul trouble. So the next game we're gonna get into is gonna be the LA Clippers going to Indiana to take on the Pacers. This is the 209 point total. We already have a good feeling that we're not gonna see Paul George tomorrow. That's probably why the point total did come out, because if he was questionable and might play, there wouldn't be a point total. So I think that we can go ahead and stretch Paul George out tomorrow. That's going to make way for Glenn Robinson III, who I do not like. The price is too high on him. This game could blow out. I'm going to stay away from a lot of players in this game. The only player that I would roster is if I really need some salary relief. I would go to the Clipper bench and maybe grab a couple guys, maybe like Mo Buckets or even Jamal Crawford, maybe the coach's son, somebody like that. I don't think you're going to see a full allotment of minutes from Chris Paul. It's been like that over the last 3 games. This Clippers team is just playing so well that they've been able to blow the doors off of teams, and you don't see too much of the starters in the fourth quarter. That's a detriment to the daily fantasy players. So I don't think I'm going to be rostering Chris Paul or Blake Griffin or DeAndre Jordan. None of the starters really from the Clippers team. Now you might see an extended run of minutes from some Indiana players. Guys like Rodney Stuckey will probably get into the action. You're gonna see Jeff Teague, but he's gonna see Chris Paul, so I don't want to see Jeff Teague. I'm good with that. Like I said, it's a 209 point total with -10 is the point differential. The Clippers are giving up 10 points. That kind of screams to me that I'm gonna stay away from that, especially with Indiana without their star player. The next game we're gonna get into is the lowest point total on the slate, but there's still some fantasy goodness involved. It is the Milwaukee Bucks traveling to Orlando to take on the Magic. This is like I said, it's a 195 point total, but it's only a 1 point differential in favor of the away team. Orlando is receiving a point at home. So this game's going to be very close. This is going to be very close. And I like close games because you see the full allotment of minutes of starters. Even though it's a low point total, we can look at this point total and kind of bank on seeing 30 plus minutes of Giannis, 30 plus minutes of Vucevic, 30 plus minutes of Jabari Parker, 30 plus minutes of Evan Fournier. So I kind of like this game. There's a couple plays that I can definitely go to in this game. Like I said, I like Giannis and Jabari Parker. I like Elfrid Payton in this game as well. I think Elfrid Payton can be a nice play. At his price point, I mean, he's what, 5.4K? That's a very decent value for a guy who's going to be playing against a subpar perimeter defense. So I do like Elfrid Payton in this game. I think Vucevic is clearly rosterable. The last game he had out, I know that was a confidence builder. He went out and had a very great game. I think he may be able to do that again. Who's he going to see? John Henson, maybe Mason Plumlee to start. There's going to be nobody that can really hold him, and he's got post moves. He's a very good player on the low block. He can also step outside and shoot the jumper. So I've changed my mind. I think I do like Vucevic tomorrow. The next game we're going to talk about is going to be the New Orleans Pelicans traveling to Dallas to take on the Mavericks. This is a 200.5 point total. It's only a -3 differential in favor of the New Orleans Pelicans. They are giving up 3 points to Dallas. Now, when I first saw this game, it was before the point totals came out, and I didn't think that the point total was going to be this close. But I remember the Pelicans are pretty much a bad team too. So in both of these bad teams, we may see a lot of sloppiness, a lot of turnovers, a lot of missed shots, a lot of rebounds. So this is definitely a game we can target. Like I said before, I kind of like Harrison Barnes in this matchup. My favorite play from this game will surprise you. It's going to be at the point guard position, but not where you think it's coming from. I like Deron Williams in this game. I think Deron Williams can have a really solid game. We're going to see Dirk for a little while. They're going to be on the floor together. Anytime you got Dirk who can stretch the floor with the jump shot, he's going to be seeing limited minutes. But if it's a close game, I think he's going to play upwards in the high 20s, maybe 25 to 28 minutes in the game. That's fine. I like Deron Williams, of course. I do not like Wesley Matthews. We know JJ Barea is out. I don't like Lil Brea, Seth Curry. I'm good on him. On the New Orleans Pelicans side of the ball, you know AD is in play. Definitely. Tim Frazier is going to be in play. And since Tim Frazier and Jrue Holiday have been both on the floor together, that's something that we've been seeing from that team a lot. So Tim Frazier's usage and minutes does not make me want to shy away from Drew Holiday. I like Drew Holiday in this game too. I like this game a lot. This is going to be a game that a lot of people don't target. Maybe some one-offs. A lot of people are going to go AD, but that's where they're going to stop. They're not going to go Holiday. They're not going to go Frazier. They're not going to go Darren Williams, especially Darren Williams. He probably going to be the lowest owned starting point guard on this complete slate. I'm willing to go out and say that. So I like Darren Williams tomorrow. The last game on the slate, the next game on the slate is going to be the Houston Rockets traveling to Portland to the Moda Center to take on my main man Dame Lillard, one of my favorite players in the league. This is a 222.5 point total, very tasty. -2.5 differential in favor of the Houston Rockets. They are giving Portland 2.5 at the Moda Center. So we've got a home dog with a superstar point guard going up against Patrick Beverly. We've got CJ McCollum going up against James Harden and his open door policy. As long as I'm scoring, you can score too. This spells fire up Lillard and McCollum. Fire up Lillard and McCollum. I'm hitting the lock button on McCollum, especially though. I love McCollum tomorrow. Now, as I'm going through the point totals, you probably can guess who my core four is, but I'm going to go over them with you at the end of the video. So I love McCollum tomorrow. He's my favorite play on the slate. I see him really tearing it up. He plays a lot with the second team. This is going to be a fast-paced game. Both teams love to push the pace. I like Harden in this game. I think he's going to have a really good game. Maybe another triple-double for him. I also like Patrick Beverly. This is a stackable game. This is a stackable game. You could roster damn near the whole starting five from Houston, and I wouldn't call you crazy. Trevor Ariza, he's hot shooting, but he's a streaky shooter. I think he's on an incline. He's had a last couple games have been really good. I can definitely see you putting Trevor Ariza to task. Stay away from Eric Gordon. He just doesn't fit in with what they're trying to do, especially on the defensive end. Since Patrick Beverly is back in the fold, they need Patrick Beverly to be that on-ball defender. So that's why we're not going to see a lot of minutes, or we haven't been seeing a lot of minutes from Eric Gordon. I'm not that high on Clint Capella. You know, he's a player that I really like, but I don't see him being on the floor as long as it's going to take for him to get that double-double. His minutes were usually around 20-22 minutes. He's going to need to have 25 to 28, going up into 30 minutes to really make a dent in tournaments for us tomorrow at 6K. So I'll be staying away from Capella in most lineups. But on the Houston side, I like Harden. I like Ariza. I kind of like Patrick Beverly. And if you really want to get wild, Ryan Anderson splashing threes in this game. On the other side, I'm just straight up Lillard and McCollum. I don't really want to deal with anybody else on this team. I'm not going to sift through and pick through and find out which small forward is going to ball out. It's going to be Harkless. It's going to be Allen Crabbe going to play well. Is Evan Turner going to play and get some minutes with the second team and really ball out? I don't want to go through all that when I know I've got two bona fide sure things with Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum. The last game on the slate does not have a point total out yet because we don't know the news on Julius Randle, and we don't know the news on we know Russell is out, D'Lo is out, but Julius Randle's dealing with an injury and he's questionable, as well as Larry Nance. Even Swaggy P is dealing with an injury. So this game could be crazy because we could see a lot of the starters not even play. Now, if we hear some shit like, Brandon Ingram is starting, I like him. If Brandon Ingram starts the game, I like him. He's 4.1K. But if he's coming off of the bench, I don't want to deal with that. There's too much that I can go ahead and roster that's going to start as soon as the game starts, and they're going to start scoring as soon as the game starts. So if he's starting, I like Brandon Ingram. He probably will be the one of the better plays in this game for me, upwards of Jordan Clarkson. If Jordan Clarkson gets a start, I like him as well. But I do have lineups where I have 4 of the Atlanta players playing. I love Schroeder in this matchup. I love Millsap in this matchup without Julius Randle and Larry Nance. I love Dwight Howard going back to LA, laying it on them. And I also like Thabo. I think Thabo's going to see some scrub love. So I like Thabo in this game as well. Like I said, there's no point total for it, but we need to stay tuned on Twitter, following the Atlanta and the LA Lakers beat writers to make sure we are abreast of whatever developments that come out during the day. But let us go ahead and jump into the plays that I like the most. These are my four guys, my core four plays. Then I've already been generating a few lineups, starting them, seeing what I would come up with, and these are the core four plays for tomorrow. We're going to start at point guard in Dallas with Deron Williams. Now, Deron Williams at 4.4K, I imagine his ownership is going to be very low. We need him to score 25 DraftKings points to make that 6x value. So at 4.4K from Deron Williams, we need 25 DraftKings points. That is very durable. I like him tomorrow. The next play we're going to talk about is going to be my main man, CJ McCollum. I love CJ McCollum tomorrow. I am hitting the lock button on him. He is at 7.5K. In order to get that 6x value from him, we need upwards and 40 points. We need like 48 DraftKings points from him. I think that's very doable for him tomorrow. And maybe even more. I love CJ McCollum tomorrow. I'm going to have him in a lot of different spots. The next guy is Anthony Davis. I love AD. I think AD is going to have an excellent game against the Dallas Mavericks. I didn't like him until I saw the point spread, and I saw, man, this is pretty close. It's a -3. It's not going to be a blowout. So if it's not a blowout, we're going to see a full allotment of minutes from Anthony Davis at 11.3K. We need damn near 70 DraftKings points from him. I think he balls out in a major way tomorrow. So I love AD. And the last player on the slate, well, the last player that we're going to talk about is one of my favorite plays, and this is from the Atlanta and the Atlanta LA game, and it's Dennis Schroeder. Man, Schroeder is at 5.5K. If he gets 34, 35 DraftKings points, he has met the 6x value for us. So my core four plays for tomorrow are going to be Dennis Schroeder at 5.5K, Anthony Davis at 11.3K, Deron Williams at 4.4K, and CJ McCollum at 7.5K. Get him in there. Get him in your lineups. You don't have to. You can generate your own core, but just make sure that you don't let anything you hear or see throughout the day take you completely off of your core four plays. This has been your DFS Jerusalem. You can follow me on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. If you would like to support the show, there's going to be a link in the bottom where you can go and grab you some DFS Sweatshop swag. We've got t-shirts and hoodies now available for you. You're already supporting the show by hitting the like button, the subscribe button, or the share button. I definitely appreciate that. If you wanted to send something, a little tip or something like that to my personal PayPal, it's been being done. Thank y'all very much for all you've been doing. You can send it to simmonsmaurice95@yahoo.com. I know you're going to be busy tomorrow with your NFL. I've got a couple lineups in myself. Send me some, post some under the video if you got some tips and pointers or some stuff you want to share with the NFL crowd. We do have some guys in here that still play the NFL DFS. I know I'm one of them. I'm signing off, man. I hope you all had a really great night, and I hope you have an excellent Sunday. And remember, in the DFS Sweatshop, we always keep it 300.